I'm trying to get this guy to run for president for a long time. He looks like he'd be very good at it. What I liked with that also is you're kind of mean, and we need that. When you need to be, not over the top. But I was on.
I appreciate that.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, "Who do you want for running president?" I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't.
Bill Maher just interviewed woke Gavin Newsom about crumbling California on his show Real Time with Bill Maher. And Bill Maher does give some pushback against Gavin Newsom for some of their woke policies. But yet, even with the whole state falling apart, Bill Maher, in his delusion, still thinks Gavin Newsom should run for president, which is terrifying to even imagine, folks, as this could be a prelude to 2028. But let's jump in and watch delusional Bill Maher question Gavin Newsom about their failing state.
I don't think you can win. What do you say to that? If you could win look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate, and you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one, because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind. But I get how those things are weaponized.
All right. So, one, I got you here, because I live here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just want to make this a better state like everybody else.
Amen.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome. That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. Yeah. And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. Right. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom doesn't care if you have water to save your burning homes. But for the almonds, yeah, he makes sure business works in California, at least to the best of their ability, because they're all in cahoots. I mean, it's insane to think that Bill Maher, even as California is crumbling, I mean, you heard Gavin Newsom say, what's our top priorities? Crime, homelessness, housing, all of the things that California is terrible at, absolutely awful on every level, is their top priority. And yet, as Gavin Newsom also wants to point out, let's use California as a case study. It has been a supermajority blue state for 35, almost 40 years. No Republican has been able to do anything they want, and yet they have absolutely annihilated it. It used to be the Golden State, the place to go, and yet, as Gavin Newsom pointed out in this case study that he just said, you have wrecked it. And yet, Bill Maher thinks he should run for president. I think this whole show, this whole interview so far, is a perfect case study of why California is California. Because you have insane, corrupt liars who will sit there and joke right to your face. And then you have people like Bill Maher that, while yes, he may be able to give some pushbacks, some sort of reasoning, maybe a little common sense, still, I mean, can't see the forest for the trees. Like, he is still blind to everything that's going on. And if this expands to the rest of the country, I can only imagine the catastrophe that would actually happen for everybody. But let me know what you think in the comments and leave a like. Helps the algorithm. Let's get back in.
Take on Big Almond.
Take on Big Almond.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No.
But
you're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing in those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California and address the permitting quagmires that you rightfully pointed out.
say you're you're good at this.
What?
See, I'm telling you're good at this job. Okay, but here's I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. There's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception. I mean, it's a profound and consequential moment. And you could sit by and say, well, I really want to get along as these guys are rolling back the clock, or you can stand tall and assert yourself. And the reason I started to go into those red states, the reason I started to take on DeSantis, and the reason I started doing ads in these red states is I didn't feel my party was doing enough. It was CRT one year, and then it's ESG, and it's DEI, anything with 3 letters. These guys keep coming, and they're shape-shifting, and they're trying, and so, but it's true, right? And I just felt there was a little timidity in our party, and I thought we need to call this stuff out. These guys are being on a banning binge across this country. You want to talk about cancel culture? Look at the Republican Party.
Folks, let me know in the comments down below how absolutely tired you are of this gaslighting. I mean, every word out of Newsom's mouth is just absolute trash. All he does is fake assume the moral high ground and gaslight everybody else into they're the bad guys. Like, he wants to talk about banning, books and stuff like that. Well, why do you want to have the books in front of kids that has stuff that's a federal crime to even possess or put in front of a kid? Like, explain that one. I mean, these people are insane. And I don't know if Bill Maher is completely blind to all of this, or Bill Maher sees part of it. I mean, I felt like when Bill Maher said, when he said, oh, you're good at this, like there was a little bit of, he knows that Gavin Newsom is kind of full of shit, but he can't outright say, I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly if Bill Maher completely gets it, or he's half blind, or what's wrong with him. But I cannot imagine any reasonable person knowing what Gavin Newsom has done in the last 5 or 6 years of the state, as he mentioned, all the way through COVID, while, putting everybody, locking everybody down while he's having dinner parties. I mean, he forgot those rules time and time again, and he's on camera and he just doesn't care. And yet people keep voting for him. That is the insane thing about California. And I think that's why this interview is a good showcase of this. It's like you have a monster of a person who will lie, cheat, and steal every moment of every week of every day in Gavin Newsom. And you've got Bill Maher, who is half competent enough to see some of the errors, but yet he still can't just see, dude, he's just lying to you. I don't know, but if this expands to the rest of the country, yeah, it's going to be horrible, folks. So hopefully this does not come to fruition in 2028. But let me know in the comments what you thought about this interview between delusional Bill Maher and woke, terrible Gavin Newsom, folks. Thanks for watching. Take care, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.